Arataki Itto is getting his first ever rerun in Genshin Impact. How is the beloved Oni doing? Is he worth your PRIMO gem from a meta point of perspective? Now that's what we're going to be discussing today. So as always, if you are enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as it really helps out a lot. Anyway, let's get started. Itto is able to do competitive damage against other top tier meta team while being very easy to pick up. His overall playstyle is very simple. You cast his elemental burst, you attack a couple times like 4 to 5, and then you do a charge attack sequence, and then you do some normal attack against, and then you do a charge attack sequence. However, don't be fooled, as that does not mean Itto is easy to master. In fact, Itto is one of the hardest characters to master because he has many unique combos that allow you to unleash even more damage. Inflex Itto combo can get very complex, which overall make him a very fun character if you are someone who is pushing for the top tier limit. Previously, I have made a combo guide showcasing as well as teaching you what kind of complex Itto combo can do, so feel free to check that out if you're just either A, learning how to play Itto, or B, looking for what kind of complex combo I'm talking about. Other than that, Itto have a small amount of AoD. It's not as large as one like Ganyu or Ayato, but it's not as single target heavy focused as someone like Hu Tao either. Overall, his AoD hit for about 1 Abyss tile, so if the enemy are tightly packed up, usually speaking, he can comfortably hit both enemy or more if there's more, so therefore he does have a small amount of AoD, just not very large either. Overall speaking, Itto is a fairly balanced character. He doesn't have many significant drawbacks, but unfortunately he doesn't have any area that he particularly shine in either, other than the fact that he's Geo. But to be honest, being Geo element is honestly more of a drawback. Unfortunately, Geo element is just the current worst in Genshin Impact, as it doesn't interact with any other element at all. It doesn't interact with Anemo, doesn't interact with Cryo, doesn't interact with Pyro. This means that his overall team drafting process is very restrictive, as very often you are forced to run a mono Geo team, which is usually Itto, Girl, and finally followed by Albedo. And again, while his mono Geo team is quite competitive in terms of damage, it is also very expensive to draft because you will be forced to pull for Goro as well as Albedo, who is another limited specific 5-star characters. Keep in mind that Albedo's signature weapon, Cinnabar Spindle, has been long gone since the original event, and at the current moment of Genshin Impact, there is no available method of obtaining the Cinnabar Spindle, and it does not seem like MiHoYo is planning on bringing event limited weapon back in the futures. As well, we were still waiting for our original Festing Desire from the 1.3 event. As you're playing a mono Geo team, that is going to make the team drafting process very hard because there are not many available support that you can draft in your final flex slot. For example, while you could draft something like Venti or Kazuha to help with grouping, in general they're not really a great choice, as Anik and Anemo doesn't interact with Geo at all. That means you don't get the VV Shred benefit, or worse, on Kazuha, you don't get the buff Geo damage at all, making them a very huge waste for your Geo team, and they're often just much better to be drafted on your other team instead. You will also have to expend a lot of resin to your mono Geo team, as both Albedo and Itto require a Husk of Opulent Dream 4P set, and unfortunately the Husk of Opulent Dream set is not very universal. It only really works on Itto or Albedo, so you pretty much locked those artifacts into only playing those characters. In comparison, something that is much more resin efficient is going to be something like Album set, where it can work on multiple different characters, allow you to play multiple characters very easily, or even drafting multiple teams very easily. And while Itto is quite balanced as an all-rounder, he doesn't have any particularly scenario or niche that he's shined in. Characters like Yodao or Yoimiya are very good single target damage dealer that could be very useful when you have to take down bosses. Like Ganyu or Aka are very good with their freeze reaction, which could be very useful when you're fighting enemies that are really annoying and move around a lot. And finally, characters like Chio or Xingqius are really good hydro applicator that could be used to enable power character like Xiangling. Unless the enemy is 1, require you to bring a Geo characters, or 2, particularly more vulnerable to Geo element, there just isn't a use case where you would say Itto is fairly good. I think between the time where Itto released to the current Abyss, there isn't like a particularly Abyss where you would say, wow, Itto is such a good character in this Abyss comparatively to other characters at the very least. In general, he's just either okay, or sometimes he's terrible when Geo element get countered as a whole. As you draft a mono Geo team all the time, that means that when Geo element get countered by the Abyss, for example in the previous Abyss where it required you to break the shield on the Abyss lecture / hero, and it required you to bring multiple elements, typically speaking that make Itto overall not very good at all because your entire element got countered, unfortunately. Something else to keep in mind is that in the new Genshin Impact 3.0 major patch, we will also be getting a brand new element, Danjo. And while other elements can freely interact with Danjo such as Cryo or Pyro, unfortunately Geo does not react with Danjo anyhow, so unfortunately Geo element as a whole will not see any power potential gain from the addition of Danjo in Genshin Impact, while other elements might continuously see the power rise even further, and that further the gap between other element and Geo when Geo is already the worst element in Genshin Impact. With that being said, I think without peeking too much into the futures, at the current moment I think Itto is a fairly balanced character that could be rated at a 3 out of 5 if you already own Goro and Albedo, or you're planning on fully committing into a Geo team and you are okay with rolling for Albedo and Goro, which again could be more costly. I think there are many much better characters to roll for at the current moment, like Raiden, Dylan, or even in the near future Rerun. So if you're not in a rush to pick up Itto, I would probably recommend you skipping him. But if you particularly like either the Geo element or his design, and again you have Albedo or you are fine with committing into rolling for Albedo as well, then I think he could be a fairly strong pickup for your overall account. He is fairly balanced, he can do competitive damage. It is unfortunate that his element Geo just hold him back a little bit. Let me know what you think about Itto and if you're gonna be rolling for him in the comment below. And with that being said, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. There's not to talk about Itto as he again doesn't have many huge downside, but he also doesn't have any huge upside either. But with that being said, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time or whenever Rerun comes.